Hey, here's a question for you. Is it possible to find clients, customers, generate a profit, and run a successful business all without social media? Of course it is. And whenever I tell a group of people this, I know that there are some of them thinking like, oh my God, isn't social media compulsory? Or I wish I could do that. Or I want to get off social media, but I don't know how. Well, friends, today is the day that you can start thinking about building a profitable and sustainable business, all without social media. You can win at business without social media. And if we actually look around, we can look at industries that aren't even permitted to use social media. Think drug companies, think cigarette companies. There's also large corporations who are very profitable who don't use social media or only use it a little bit. Apple, they rarely use social media. Large beauty company Lush left social media in 2019. And then there's my customers, my clients, my coaches, consultants, and professional services firms, like a lawyer who is in hypergrowth, no social media. Multi-million-dollar tech firm grew 70% in 7 months, no social media. And then there's, the odd coach or consultant who, again, have built an amazing marketing plan, no social media. It is possible. Social media isn't a must-have to get leads, to get clients, or to thrive in business in 2022 and beyond. But if we think for a minute, I know that talking to so many entrepreneurs like yourselves, that there might be many reasons why you would want to leave social media. First one, we've all heard a friend, a business bestie, whatever, who has learned the hard way that building your business on social media can be risky, right? They've been locked out of their accounts, put in jail, all of those different things. That's one reason. Number two is perhaps you are tired, that was me, of chasing the social media algorithm and, doing all this hard work only to see our audience numbers decline and decline. Or maybe you've already invested time and money into a social media platform that faded into obscurity. That's right. We all remember Periscope, right? Or maybe you're exhausted trying to keep up with all the new content that you have to create, or you think you have to create. Or you've gone the opposite way and you've hired a social media agency or someone to do your social media. And your social media kind of looks like everybody else's in your industry. Or lastly, perhaps you're tired, just tired of all the negativity out there on social media, and you really just want to leave it. There are faster, cheaper, less time-consuming ways to generate clients, market your business, and get leads. Now, I want to share with you today a couple of things. Number one, I have an amazing gift for you. 100+ ways to market your business without social media. And that's my free gift to you, and you're going to get the link to that. Number two is I'm going to share with you what the gurus aren't telling you, which is perhaps why your money and time investment in social media isn't paying off. Okay. And then I'm going to share with you 3 considerations, 3 ingredients you need to include in a lead generating marketing plan without social media. Now, maybe you're wondering, why the heck should you listen to this person here? Well, I'm Diana Lidstone. I am a strategic marketing and growth catalyst. And coaches, consultants, professional services firms come to me when their revenue, when their profit has flatlined. And they've tried everything, including working harder, weekends and evenings, and they just can't seem to get their business to grow. And that's why I talk about work less, earn more. You see, after being in business for more than 40 years, I've seen lots of marketing tactics come and go. I've worked with coaches, consultants, professional services firms around the world, and I've discovered that you don't need to be on social media to generate consistent leads and experience this explosive profit growth. And, it's just that you don't have to be there. And I see too many businesses thinking that this is a must have. You're going to learn today that it's not. But I also want to be very honest with you. I am on social media. You'll find me on Facebook. You'll find me on LinkedIn. But it is not the number one way I generate clients. There was a time, and many of you perhaps know this, there was a time when I thought Facebook groups were the be all end all. And they were for a time, but that's the whole point. Social media just keeps changing. Social media isn't what it used to be. Social media is optional. It is not mandatory. So to get the best from our time together, I'm going to challenge you to think a little differently about your business, your industry, and your marketing plan. And to think differently. Why? Because if you want different results, it all starts with thinking differently. Thinking differently, the next step is doing differently. So the question for today is, in your mind, how might this work for my business? How might this work for my industry? That's how I invite you to think about today's presentation. Okay? So let's dive in. First of all, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about what is marketing. And I'm going to use my flip chart here behind me. Marketing has 3 basic components. The first one is your message. That is what you are saying. Now, what you are saying in your blog posts, what you were saying in social media, what you were saying in any content that you generate. Now, truth is, we're not going to talk a lot about this today. That's a huge discussion for another time. But marketing also means your market. So you've got your message, and then you have your market. This is the who. This is the what. What you are saying to who. That's your dream client. Who are you selling to? We're going to talk about that a little bit today. There's a third ingredient to this success factor. And it is your method. That is how. Your method is how you are getting your message out to who. And, I talk about this as a success factor because you need to have all 3 of them to work really, really well. Because the whole purpose, the only purpose, the number one purpose of your marketing is to generate leads, qualified leads that are ready to buy from you. So that is the marketing success factor. You've got to have all 3 of those ingredients. Okay? Now let's talk about the method, the marketing tactics. Here's a question for you. How many marketing tactics do you think there are? Let's gamify this. You could spend a minute or so, hit pause, and I'd love for you to take out a piece of paper and brainstorm how many marketing methods, tactics that you could come up with. Now, here's what I know. After you list all the social media platforms and their various lives and groups and different things, after you've thought about your website, your email, maybe even podcasting, speaking, and networking, paid ads, unpaid ads, referrals, strategic alliance, and the list goes on, it's really freaking overwhelming. That's what causes the hustle. And that, my friend, is problem number one. You see, too often, I see that all of these marketing methods out there have caused these coaches, consultants, and professional services firms to be on the wrong platform, not where their ideal clients are hanging out. Or maybe they're saying the wrong things on the wrong platform, or maybe they're saying the same thing that everybody else in their industry is saying. That's a problem. Our social media is filled with seemingly successful entrepreneurs, you know who I mean, these gurus that are using social media, and we think, that works for him or her, so it should work for me, right? Problem number two. You see, you aren't them. I'm not them. You have unique magic within you that is not them. They have different magic within them. Your business isn't theirs. You see, your business, I'm guessing, isn't at the same level, isn't at the same stage of business growth as theirs. What they are often teaching you, these gurus, doesn't apply to you, and you wonder why you can't make it work. It's kind of like trying to wear somebody else's shoes and wondering why they don't fit. They're not comfortable. It doesn't work. So don't rely on these other gurus. I'm going to show you an option. And then there's problem number three. Even if you have a huge following on social media, even if you have lots of engagements and comments, those are not leads. Those are just followers. You see, you don't own that contact information. If Facebook or whatever other social media platform you're on disappeared tomorrow, those followers, they're gone. Of course, unless you've got them onto your email list and you're nurturing them there. But that's another discussion for another day. Okay. So we've talked about the problems of why your marketing may not be successful. So maybe you're wondering, okay, Diana, now how do I create a marketing plan without social media that actually generates leads and prospects? And I'm going to share with you 3 ingredients to include in your marketing plan that no one else teaches. And I promise it will help you build a sustainably profitable business. How do I know? Because it works for my clients. And here we go. I'm just going to flip the page here. All right. I'm talking about something that I call your Marketing Sweetspot Solution. Maybe I'll write that out. Marketing Sweet Spot Solution. Okay. And here we go. Again, I'm going to draw 3 circles. The first is the marketing tactic or the marketing method. Remember, we talked about those, how there's all these different things for you to choose from, right? And next, I'm going to talk about 2 more things that are missing from the way other people teach marketing. And here we go. The first thing, you. That's right. You. Who you are, what your strengths are, what your magic is, how you show up for your ideal clients. And I actually walk my clients through a very proven proprietary steps that will help them identify the best ways for them to show up. Now, for some of you, it might be audio. So I have a client, a coach, who's currently working with me in my group program, and she actually generates clients. 90% of her clients come from her podcast. That's audio. Now, she and I are very different. What works for me is speaking live, kind of like this. So you need to know what works best for you, how you can best communicate your message. Okay? So we have the marketing method over here. We have you. And the third is your dream client. Okay? Now, I'm not just talking about creating an avatar or the demographics, not really where they're hanging out, but what does their life truly look like? What does their life truly look like? And where are they most likely to see or hear you? So why do I call this marketing sweet spot? It's got to be that interaction, that center part. All three of these have to come together. Now, you're probably saying, well, Diana, this doesn't make sense. Well, let me walk you through a very specific example, and we'll use this for demonstration purposes. Now, I'm going to say that this is my client, Joan, okay? And Joan is a leadership coach for women solopreneurs. So when I look at Joan over here, Joan has gone through my process and she has identified that speaking is how she best shows up. It's not what we think, or it's not what you think, or it's not what Joan thinks it's the best. Because sometimes those are very different. It's actually looking at how you best resonate, how you best show up for your ideal clients. Okay, so she's got speaking. Now we'll go to methods. And we'll think of all the different ways that speaking can show up for Joan. Facebook Lives, guesting on podcasts, speaking at women's events, speaking at networking, maybe even chamber events. There's lots of ways that she could do speaking. So we've got speaking here, right? Okay. But we must include her dream client. Now, her dream client, Joan, because she's working with me, has really narrowed her niche. Like I said, that's a topic for another time. But becoming a specialist like this is how she is going to create the hyper growth she needs in her business. Her dream client are busy financial advisors. There you go. Really very specific, right? But as I said, they're busy. They're busy running their businesses. They're out there, sometimes they have to meet people in the evenings and on weekends. There's a lot of time juggling. So the question for Joan is, where and when will her busy financial advisors most likely hear her speaking? Well, what we did was we narrowed it down to chamber events. Okay, so we've got that sweet spot, speaking live. And she's going to pick chamber events to get started. So what does that mean for her? She means she creates one signature talk. She learns how to get better and better and better at that one signature talk. And there's lots of chamber events. And then she gets asked to speak at other places eventually. But creating your own lead generating marketing plan without social media, you've got to know what's best for you, what's best for your dream client, and what's the method. So let me ask you, if you knew it was possible to grow your business, to have more revenue, more joy, more profit, more free time, would you give it a try? Would you? Well, about 3 years ago, Milena and I were sitting at my kitchen table discussing her business when she asked me, can you help make me more profitable without me working weekends and evenings? And she confessed, she says, I just can't work any harder. Milena's a lawyer in a small city, and at that time, she was just barely paying her bills. So I taught her a couple of things. I taught her the Marketing Sweetspot Solution. I taught her how to narrow her niche down so that she became a specialist in a very narrow field. Her field, something that lit her up. She ended up speaking, and she ended up speaking not at chamber events, but for her, it was at associations where her ideal clients were hanging out. About 6 months ago, when Milena and I were on a coaching call, she was so excited to share with me that her company is now on track this year to earn over $500,000 in profit. From barely surviving to thriving. You see, that's what I do. I help experts who feel they can't work any harder to build a wildly profitable and sustainable business, often without social media or paid advertising. So if you're an expert who feels that you would like to explore building a lead generating marketing plan without using social media, I'd love to chat. Now, in the meantime, don't forget to download my free gift, 100 Ways to Get Known and Market Your Business Without Social Media. Thanks so much for listening. And I know that you can go beyond the hustle. Thanks so much.